You want Corell or do you want Nat King Cole? Someone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You are listening to the e-flux podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to the e-flux podcast. In this episode, we have a conversation between Julieta Aranda, Liam Gillick, and Lawrence Weiner, recorded live in his New York studio. Enjoy.
I'd rather talk about politics.
Talk about
right now.
If you'd like to talk about politics, if you can turn it into a moral conversation, why not?
Well, I don't know if I can do that.
Art is about the morality of culture.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
I would think so.
Yeah.
What do you think? You can't.
I mean, I try
not
not to take that too much to heart because it can also become so very prescriptive. I was giving students.
No, only academic. It doesn't become prescriptive if it's and if you're not afraid to say that certain things like that problem was where you have to explain to people sometimes in a riot or something that if they're not racist, they can easily say I don't like Moroccan food, but if they're racist, it has another connotation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. The thing is that I personally have been making work for the last, I guess it's a long time, trying to break the hierarchy of materials. Well, once you break the hierarchy, if lead and gold are about the same other than what they're used for, there's no justification for racism. None.
But do you think part of the problem is people, as art becomes academic, it muddles up ethics and morals?
No, when art becomes academic, it lets people into the field that essentially are protecting their kind of suburban life. The academy requires a suburban life with suburban morality, and that kind of everything adapts around them. And in fact, everything has nothing to do with them.
So it's a different set of relationships.
Exactly. And if you can break the hierarchy, you've broken the whole thing. And that's the only purpose you're making art, is to bring about a reduction of the hierarchy. All Alde Yavunum Havenein Punum, which is an interesting thing because it means everybody has the same face as the Greeks. And it means that all the stars in the sky have the same face. That's almost against the law in a lot of places. They believe that they're the chosen people. They believe that their religion is the chosen one. They can't go for it. I did it when I got my award in Israel. I said at the end of the broadcast, Aliyavunum Havenein Punum. And I've been using it all along. I don't know. It's all the stars in the sky have the same face, and I'm going to put it up on the face of the Jewish Museum coming up because it has a thing. It's something. The expression in sort of modern parlance came about when a mother would be confronted by a son bringing home a woman he was in love with, and if she wasn't the right ethnic group, she would always say, there's so many fish in the sea. All the stars in the sky have the same face. Because she was not stupid enough to attack the woman, but she was hoping to break what she thought was a bad idea. Mm-hmm. And I think bad ideas are great when it comes to that.
But are we in a time where hierarchies are being reconstructed? Or are we actually, nothing had changed, in fact?
I think it's gotten worse.
It's gotten worse.
You know, I was just a few days ago in Maine doing studio visits with younger artists, sort of like an academic program. And it was a lot of something that I call aboutness. So it was like the most the biggest display of affect and sentimentality for the sake of sentimentality that I have ever seen. And it really got me worried because it was all about this kind of like slight hysterics. And let me tell you about me. I feel like this. I once called the suicide prevention hotline. I feel neglected by my parents. I had a bad relationship with my aunt Susie. I am a woman. And I mean, it was all like that. And I was thinking, what happened to materials and what happened to form? And what happened to, a way of making work that transcends that kind of sentimental fluff, because it felt really fluffy?
Yes, it is fluffy, but that's strange. What happened after?
What happened after? I was a little bit distraught, tried to talk.
They run you off the property.
No, they don't. That's the point. They don't.
No, I mean, like,
They just titch.
No, I mean, when you are there, you are like thinking, okay, how can I talk to this person, tell them something that they could use?
Maybe there's nothing wrong with them being fluffy. It's about what they're saying. You see, we have a tendency to see things clothed in a certain way. I can only remember I got an award from Skowhegan, and I was really happy to get it. But I must tell you, the young emerging artist was Matthew Barney. And his comment was, I don't know anything about this. I was rejected when I applied. And the next was Robert Gover and his family and all, and he were involved in making these things possible. And then there was me.
Yeah.
And my comment was that I wanted to thank everybody, it was 500 people in the room, for hating what I did so much that there wasn't one person left in the world who didn't know what it was.
I can vouch for this because I think I saw Lawrence the week he came back from that.
It was in the city, yeah.
Yeah, from doing that. And you told me the same story that day.
Yeah, it was perfect. And Leo Caselli gave me the award. And I still am asking the same question. What do we want? Why do we have to be the spoiled cultural thing that you came from the right class, you're in the right class, you got in, you fucked the right person, and now you're supposed to never say there's something wrong with the system.
Right. Also, I think that these kind of retreats or residencies or whatnot, they're a way of corralling a certain type of artist who's drawn, those artists who are drawn to being on a retreat or in a...
No, they're drawn...
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think that it's a very nice idea, especially for an artist that has to have a job and things like that. They go someplace and they're taken care of. I know that I took a Deutsche Akademische Austauschdienst and I made a movie in Berlin. And it was the first time in my life I'd been in a place that really had central heating.
I mean, I have liked it.
I grew up in New York, and the central heating just didn't work all that much.
I think,
You sound mean, Julieta.
No, but it's not a mean thing
bit.
because the work was not bad. Yeah, like if I was looking at the work by itself, the work was not bad.
Yeah, but this is something Lawrence said to me recently, which really stuck with me. It's happened many times over the years, but he said that he'd gone to see something or other. The problem with art now is that you go and see something and the work's good, and then you go into the next room and it's also good, and you go and see the next thing and it's good. Do you remember?
Yes, the confidence.
Extraordinary.
The confidence level is not out, but essentially, it's saying the same thing.
I mean, it was also not. What was striking was the place from where the work was being made, because it made me think, and I'm not even okay. So yes, I'm being mean, and that's not nice.
Why is that not nice? By the way, you're an artist. You don't have to be. You don't have to be nice.
No, because I was in a situation where I was talking about the hierarchy. I was in a superior position to these people.
Yes, you are.
I should not be mean to them. It's not nice.
No, as a matter of fact, it's true. You're not supposed to humiliate anybody.
No, I didn't hate them. It's more about thinking, okay, they are making work from this very particular place of affect. So much affect. So much personal affect.
When that word started being used a lot about 8 years ago, maybe. And I'd read a lot of Deleuze, for example, and I'd missed the whole affect bit. I had to go back and find it. I actually had an argument with someone denying that this was a term that had been used very much. But in fact, when I went back, I found it was all over Mille Plateau. It's all over various writings. And so there's actually just a shift here. We're talking about people who are dealing with a different sense of relationships and different sense of feelings. And it's not entirely anti-intellectual or anti-ideas. It's just a different way of thinking about the world. It's like touching the screen and feeling whatever it is that's in the room that's affecting all the relationships beyond the clear hierarchies that can be seen. So it's supposed to be revealing much more complex relationships. But of course, like anything else that becomes a term that becomes useful in art, when people are trying to join what they perceive as a system, it's been successful as a word because it isn't very difficult. It's not tough. It doesn't restrict or prevent. If you say that I'm dealing with affective relationships in my work, it pretty much allows you to do anything, right? It doesn't have a point where you could say, it's a bit like the way Baudrillard was used in the 80s, right?
I honestly must tell you, I had no idea what you were talking about just now. It's not a phrase that I've ever used, and it's not a phrase I heard.
Yeah.
I'm terribly sorry.
No, I know, but it's funny. Now you'll find
Affect, and now I know that affectation has become a noun.
Absolutely. No. It's in a way, that's exactly how.
It's no longer a verb. It's a noun. Everybody knows what affectation is, supposedly, according to what you're saying, and I had no idea.
I mean, it's funny because it does something that
people are odd. I mean, some people are genuinely, they have tics. They're odd. They do certain things. Big deal.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I was just like thinking, what happens when that enters, when that's coupled up with representation and art and like the relationship with art and representation, which is what made me think, okay, so what happened to form and materials? And I wanted to talk with the two of you about it because sometimes
what did you want to talk about? Form and materials. This is interesting because form and materials is just a means of getting across an idea. You're just trying to communicate. And you're using form and materials as the basis. I don't understand the difference between, other than the material difference, between the idea of something being sculpture or painting or music or dance. I cannot figure out the difference.
But there is something very...
It's language.
If I just went recently to Deer Beacon,
Yeah.
and there's your work is there. It's
Yes.
on the outside, it's also on the inside, and it's around. And there's something very different about your work there than a lot of the other work. It may just be to do with when people, what conversations they were having, but it does seem different. It's different from everyone else there.
Oh, I would hope so. I would imagine that, Robert Ryman should be different than a Carl Andre, and a Carl Andre should be different than a Richter. That's fine. What's the
material
problem?
relationships that you're proposing, right? The sculpture,
Yeah, that's what I do.
seem less limited than the vocabulary that the other people are using, but I don't know if that matters or it's just the way it is. It's particularly striking there, I think.
Why don't you read it another way?
Yeah.
I was not really taken too seriously until people realized that I was part of the culture. And the other people have been heavily read and written about and taught. Don't pick on them about that. It doesn't take away from the value of the work.
No.
I'm sorry.
Okay, but then coming back to Julieta, how are we going to do this miraculous thing of re-engaging people with materials?
Why are we supposed to be doing this? Our
asking
job is
her.
to make things. No, Julieta, our job is to make things. I don't give a fuck about educating people.
I don't want to
I
re-engage
think
people.
museums that have any kind of a program that brings people in, other than to see art, is crazy, waste of money. It's just taking up their time. It's babysitting.
But this is not about re-engaging people. It's more about like thinking how it has, what does the change mean? I mean, did something really stay in the 20th century, or is it moving into the present tense in a way that is still there, still pertinent, but just not as legible as it was?
Ooh. Yeah.
I'm not going to. Look.
It's not about re-engaging and like a nostalgic thing of like, oh, the good old, like the good old times of concrete and glass. That's not it.
The question of subjectivity and difficulty are definitely things that art is also about evasion and about not being clear for some people and for many artists. And it's about refusal. It's a negative thing. It's not always positive. And again, I think it's this. You can't generalize. Maybe you're seeing too many things. Maybe that's what it is. And there's no. You don't have a map. You know what I mean? Like you don't have a map to.
Well, what can you have? Do you know
what kind of map?
Yeah, what can
No,
you?
I'm
what
not
kind
saying
of map?
I don't want a map. I'm just
No. What kind of map could you even conceive of?
Well, I think when you could say that there might have been a point when there would be critical writing about art that would at least give you a negative starting point. You could say, well, I'm at least against this position, right? I'm not sure where the voice is now.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make sense what you're saying. I don't think, because, in fact, the only time you have a map is when it's all been decided already, and that's the problem. There's no reason for it. Art is something that you make art because the configuration that's presented to you doesn't succeed in reaching people. Reaching people is important, but whether they understand or like or use, that's another story. Your job as an artist is to make and to show it, not to tell.
But maybe you got something there, because maybe what I felt, and in that sense, it was like about saying too much, is that things were crystal clear. Yeah, like nothing was obscured from view. There was like zero opacity.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And that's maybe the thing that
That's the point. I don't think you want that. I don't think you need that. And I don't even think it's possible. Me. I think that everything has to be a little bit obscured.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the unsettling thing for me. Like the one thing that got me in a kind of like funny place. Okay, it's it's like a little bit pre-digested. So I had to do very little work myself.
Right.
And that's the thing that I was thinking. Also because both of you are pretty good at opacity in the right doses. So that's why I'm talking about
I don't
that.
think I'm opacious at all. I think I'm completely right on the top of the table. Oddly enough, I genuinely do see myself as being very open-minded and very on the table. But the problem is that I have a tendency to speak out loud when I'm thinking in terms of culture, and that's taken as being against the culture. No, most cultures suck, which is why most cultures have art and music and dance. It's because they, as they stand themselves, suck. They're not functioning. They're not functioning.
They're not funky enough.
They're not funky enough. No, but quite frankly, I don't see what the problem is.
No, it's not a problem. It's more like of an observation. Things can also be the way they are, and they don't need to be people do not need to make work the way I would make work. That's
I don't think they could.
Yeah.
I don't know how I make work. I know it changes each time. I'm old, and which means that you went through one stage and another stage, and if it didn't work, it didn't work. You moved on. That doesn't mean you have to negate it. I'm back again, 1963, talking about Dr. Paul Ehrlich, the man who had the magic bullet. He had a thing called salvarsan, which stopped the spread of gonorrhea in people. Socially, he was looked down on, fought with, and everything else. Great man. But I must say, in modern times, if you got gonorrhea, you really would prefer penicillin. It doesn't mean you have to put him down. This thing about King of the Mountain that we're taught is just a bunch of school teachers talking about who's on first and who's on second. We don't have to pay any attention to that. We make things. The shoemaker really doesn't have to pay attention to certain things because they make a pair of shoes.
I'm always struck by how odd it is when people say there's too much of something, too much art, too many artists. Or it's a very strong strand of a way of talking about art, that there's worry that there's too much of it.
Who says that?
Who said
You
that?
might read that in various online.
Well, maybe there are too
things,
many.
or in the New York Times.
Maybe there were too many galleries. Maybe there is too much art. But that's not for you to judge.
Exactly.
Because that which you think is too much might be the right thing at the moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But do you mean it's when they are saying that? Are they complaining about a proliferation or about the market?
Know how hard it is for them to get into the room. The room is too crowded for them.
Yeah, it's an anxiety, as if there's like this worry that there's too many artists, too much art. Yeah. They might mean too many pieces, right? That's a slightly different thing. That's like Ed Ruscha's thing, like artists who make pieces. There's an Ed Ruscha print, which is great, and you know exactly what he means.
Mm-hmm.
That's too
I have
many.
nothing further to add.
Too many artists and too much art.
It's I can't see what the worry would be personally. Too many real estate people and maybe too many banks or something would worry
There's too
me.
many serial killers.
Too many serial killers would worry me.
Yeah.
Too many bad politicians. Too many.
Politician. I don't know what's a bad politician and what's a good one. At this point, I know what good politics are and what bad politics are, but not the politician. I don't think we should be judging so much on personalities. That's what we have in the White House in the United States right now. It's a reality series, and that's why Brexit went down, is because it was a reality series. Nobody took it seriously, and now they realize what they've done.
Yep. But is this the first New Yorker who's been president? No, it can't be.
No, I don't think so. I think Franklin Delano, no, Roosevelt wasn't. I have no idea.
It's interesting.
And he's from Queens in a gated community. Mm-hmm. So that's everything that I was brought up as being considered disgusting. Mm-hmm. Gated communities, people with aluminum baseball bats to protect their children, and their children go out and kill people. Mm-hmm. And run
With
them
aluminum
down.
baseball bats as well?
Aluminum baseball bats, yeah. No, they don't do it with a baseball bat. They hire people to do it. Remember, we have a president who has standing next to him a man who has not given his tenants heat for 2 years.
I know.
And I think that he should be slapped every morning by anybody that passes him, because that is the scariest thing in the world. When an irresponsible person gets property and there's human beings attached and they fuck up, they should be punished and made to make it work. If they didn't have anybody to shovel the coal, he should have to shovel the coal for the rest of his life. I find that this is what you're talking about in the art world. We have an art world now that's filled with bullshit because of the academy. See, the purpose of the academy is...
You mean, when you say academy, you mean educating artists? Like
you cannot educate people to do what you cannot educate them to do. I'm terribly sorry.
But then what do you think is because what
Art history is a great thing to study. Materials, how you make materials and how you make paint. This is all very important stuff. But as far as marketing, it's bullshit. It's a necessity to pay your bills. But why do they have universities teaching marketing of art? By the time they're teaching it, it's already too old.
Thinking about what you're saying,
I'm keeping my
Liam,
mouth shut.
about the too many artists and too much
I know.
art. But I do think that there may be too many art schools. That I would say. That's
Why don't they, we have resources in this country. Why don't they educate people, let them go to a regular liberal arts college, and then spend a couple of months learning about the art market? First, learn something. Art market doesn't teach you anything. It's great that the money is a necessity to make art. Nobody's putting it down, but it's not a university subject.
I mean, like, I don't know, like, did you see but
I'm
I don't
sorry.
even, no, I mean, I don't,
I'm not attacking anything. I'm just saying that that's like studying basket weaving for 6 years.
See, this is why we need music, because this would be the point where we'd say, so we'll now go to the next track, and then just let it play.
Shall we?
The part 2. We can start part 2. So we've
Okay.
dealt with Julieta's problem that she doesn't like young artists.
I like,
She doesn't like
that's not true.
Deleuzian theory. And
That's not true. Don't, I'm not
There's
that
too many
negative.
artists.
I'm not that, that's you.
I didn't say there was
Listen,
too many.
I'm terribly sorry. I'm not getting involved in this conversation because when you have really decent human beings like Derrida and Lacan writing and saying this was an experiment that didn't work, and yes, you have universities teaching it. Why would they teach what the person, it was like if you're cooking and it tastes awful, why would you put that as your cooking school?
You're just still giving me ideas for schools I'm going to start.
I'm sorry, but it's...
I'm going to do the negative cooking school.
Oh,
The
I had-
Liam Gillick Academy of Negative Cooking.
Yeah.
Oh, great. I had an academy that somebody offered me, and it didn't ever work out. I thought that they could take California, a beautiful area, and they should build Quonset huts. And in them, there should be libraries and professional librarians that any student can walk in and say, where do I find that? I grew up in the public school system, and you'd walk in a library. Most of the time, the librarian would know what you were looking for.
Yeah.
And then they would have workshops. And the artists that taught there would only teach for 2 years. They get paid very well, and that's it. And then the next, you couldn't have somebody that was so-and-so student.
Yeah, I agree. I fantasize about the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm more in favor of more universal potential, if you see what I mean.
Exactly, I agree with you.
Access.
I agree. It's about access. It's, our job as artists is to make it possible for somebody to come and have an opinion.
Yeah, because we're also talking about whenever you read an anxious kind of side comment in the New York Times or in ArtNet or even in the Art Forum about too many of this, too many of that, they tend to be referring to a particular class and particular color of human being.
Yes.
And they're not talking about the fact that access just to the kind of thing that Lawrence is talking about is not anything like universal. It's become even less general.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
No, that's
shockingly
absolutely.
limited,
Yeah.
restricted.
You agree?
Yeah, completely. I mean, it's this thing about, like, I've also been in the informal conversations, not even anxious commentary tracks in the New York Times. It's where people are like, well, there are too many people doing this thing, which used to be ours and used to be unadulterated, and now it's watered down, and who are they to think they can come in, kind of thing.
I kind of like it, though, when someone recognizes you and thinks you're going to like something they like because it's a special thing and there's too much of it. And the other day out in Greenport, I was walking into a store looking for bread. And as I was walking in, a man was leaving and looked at me and he said, "There's a great cheese cave in the back there. You're going to like it."
Oh,
he'd
that's different.
He
That's-
already identified me as someone who's interested in artisanal cheese and could see me as a kind of fellow cheese lover. And was
Really?
just like tipping me off. I like that.
Really, why don't we get a photograph of you, and instead of the goat on the cheese, put a picture of you?
Yeah, but exactly. But I feel I'm sort of within certain privilege in contexts, right? You are surrounded by I'm surrounded by cheese, basically. It feels like.
I'm terribly sorry, but I must tell you, I grew up having to work in these places. And
Cheesecake?
It wasn't called cheesecake.
No, they didn't have that kind of stuff then, but they had cheese, and you knew it, and it was a complicated thing. The problem is that you'd be very surprised about who finds what. And it's all the preconceptions of middle-class people make no sense, because the plumber might know a hell of a lot more about French cheese than you do. Mm-hmm. But maybe not. But the point is to have an idea that a certain class of person has a certain insight. It's real scary. It genuinely is scary.
Do you like cheese, Liam?
I grew up in pre-European Union Britain, which is, we'll be going back to that soon. So we didn't really have a big, there was cheese. You went to the place in the
Dorchester.
There was cheese. And
Stilton?
there were about 2 or 3 types. No, like cheese.
Okay.
Cheese, you knew what it meant. It meant a lump of something that was slightly yellowish,
Okay.
right? It didn't have,
Edible.
there weren't varieties of cheese. We'll be going back to that soon. It's going to make people happy, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I don't know. You'll miss your Stilton. No, but
I want to come back to this thing that Julieta mentioned at the beginning. There's this way of getting into materials. You said materials, right? Relationship to materials. What would this, how would you do, what would this entail exactly?
I mean, I don't have an answer.
What would be better about it? Like,
No, it's not about better or worse. I mean, I was just like, that's really not the point. It's more about what happened to the. I mean, like, I was like thinking about how, in a way, it may have been liberating in a sense, coming after the social realism and a kind of like mode of propaganda to actually just engage with these things that are not telling a straight up story, but like in like, let's say minimalism, and what happened to that and why, like why it's kind of like asleep, that thing now. I mean, it's a question of why. It's not what's better.
What do you mean by asleep?
I don't see a lot of people working on that tradition right now, which is not good or bad. It's just not happening.
No, I don't know whether it's asleep or it isn't sleep. Maybe it's not useful at this moment.
It's possible. I mean, it just made me think.
That doesn't mean it's useless.
Yeah, exactly. It's not at this moment.
At this moment, it's not useful.
But there is this work of yours that I have always thought a lot about. That it's I don't remember how it goes, but something temporary solutions.
Yeah, no.
It's
doesn't matter.
Along the lines of one must remember that everything that happens is nothing but a temporary solution. Of course, much more elegantly phrased because it was phrased by you. But yeah, I mean, it just made me think, well, maybe that was a temporary solution of its time.
No, there are no temporary solutions. There's a solution for the moment, and that's it. It's not temporary. For all you know, it's a universal and it continues. But most of the time it doesn't. And art's not supposed to. Art's supposed to present propositions, not facts. It's a material reality. Reality is not a fact. A fact is somebody writing about it later. I don't know. Maybe we're talking in circles.
No. It's interesting. I mean, like, because of course, I mean, like but in that sense, you're saying that art is making propositions, and then this is speaking to its time.
It makes a proposition to do with the reality of the time.
And maybe that's just not the reality. Like that mode of engagement is not the reality of this time. I mean, I don't know. Like I can talk about that, but it's actually not even my mode of making work. So it's
no. My mode changes radically as I move along down the voyage, and it doesn't. I'm not being romantic. It's just why bother to make something if you already know the answer? You make something to try to find the answer, or at least I do.
How about Julian?
I like listening to Lawrence when he speaks. I was struck the other day by something I was reading where a museum person was advocating there should be more self-taught artists around, and it made me think of what Lawrence said.
How can you teach yourself something you don't know?
Exactly.
Self-taught. What an asinine question. Really and truly, Caspar Hauser.
No, absolutely. So
really,
it reminded me of you talking about this idea of self-taught people. So it's complicated. There's things a little meandering here to try and unravel. The thing is just to let them sit as to not necessarily, the statement seems, yes, it is correct. Lawrence is right. You can't teach yourself something
You don't know.
you don't know. It's a perfectly reasonable thing to say.
Yes, yeah.
But you see that there's something around, art seems to be the location where people try and do things which are
Oxymoronic.
oxymoronic. I mean, that's part of what they're doing.
And it's, I mean, like when it comes to plumbing and when it comes to heart surgery, it may be more complicated. But when it comes to art, it's not necessarily a bad thing, I think.
I don't know. I think it is a bad thing.
To do something that you don't know?
That you're teaching, and because most people, the economics is such that you have to teach. You're teaching something you don't know.
No, just in the terms of being self-taught. That's what I meant.
Oh well, then yeah, self-taught. If you didn't get the right book, you shouldn't be a dentist. I'm sorry. As well-meaning as you are, you shouldn't.
I made something last year which was essentially a door, and next to it on the wall was written art and orthodontics, like cosmetic orthodontics, just as a statement.
I think
I leave that hanging in the air.
I think that
Didn't you-
cosmetic is great.
That was
Yeah, me too.
There was some. I think I saw that in the show you had in Berlin. Is that possible?
It is possible. It was in
or
the
the
office.
graphic thing? Yeah.
It's for the office of the gallery.
It's like having a Matisse in.
The
waiting
translation into English is actually cosmetic dentistry. So it says art and cosmetic dentistry in the office.
As equivalents.
I just think that the thing I learned or enjoyed with Lawrence's work is the fact that it did not seem to limit relationships, and it did fuck with hierarchies, and therefore I was always told, you're told if you go to an art school like I did, that there are things which are an appropriate subject for art or an appropriate material condition of art or an appropriate attitude, and I always found it's surprising no one ever mentioned that art and cosmetic dentistry there might be something in it, right? There might be
Cosmetic
something.
dentistry as an appropriate subject matter or a material approach.
I wanted to put that relationship out in a gallery office because I felt that it's probably something that I got the feeling that this is not a set of potentials that gallery usually think about, and I wanted to just put it there.
Yeah, but you don't go to a gallery because, somebody which was fabulous for her, Gina Pane, was helped by people who appreciated what she was trying to do, and they fixed her teeth.
Mm-hmm. There is actually a big relationship between dentistry and art collecting, because a lot of good dentists...
Lucio Emilio getting the dentistry for various people.
Absolutely.
Terry Fox.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting.
Makes it possible for them to have access. Don't knock it.
No, I'm not knocking it. Yeah. I'm actually genuinely curious. But of course,
but also cancer research and doctors are necessary for artists to continue.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But it has nothing to do with each other. That's the problem.
I mean, well, they are in a way patrons, no?
No. You see, you already got corrupted by the system. They're not patrons. When a doctor saves somebody's body, they're not a patron. They're not doing it. They're doing it because they know you as an artist. They're doing a doctor. It has nothing whatever the hell to do with you. It has to do with what they do. And let's start giving people credit for what they do, not tie everything into some glub of the art world. It doesn't always have to be right.
I mean, I was thinking, just because of what Liam was saying, that there is, of course, when you think about health insurance, that there are certain things that are extras. Like everything in your body is one thing, but then your teeth are not something that matters.
They just don't accept the fact because their ruling class has access to dentistry. The other people in the world don't. And that's the problem.
But I mean, what's the, it just makes me think, that's what I started just thinking very quickly about what an equivalence could be, because you have this idea that teeth are something that you don't need to exist. So health insurance very rarely covers orthodontics. And there is a kind of like
Look at what
superfluous
happened to
thing.
Chet Baker when his dealer broke his mouth up. That was the end of him being able to make the music that he wanted. But when you have a musician whose teeth are going bad and you can fix them, that's a different story. It's a much more important story. It's not an anecdote. I just don't think they have anything to do with each other. That's humanity. The human being has a problem delineating and articulating when their teeth are screwed up. Doctors have a way of fixing it. More power to both of them. And that's all I have to say about any of that.
About art.
It's
and
more
cosmetic
power to both
dentistry.
of them, but they're not the same thing.
Right.
And I guess that on that note, we have covered plenty of ground in this gathering.
Yes, I think so. It's a three-pointed prong. It's New York, Long Island, and Mexico City. And Berlin.
And Berlin, yes. It's a
So
little prong there.
thank you very much for the conversation, I guess.
Yeah.
You
Thank
say
you
the
for
same?
time. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
All happiness. Okay.
Ciao.
Thanks a lot.